Hi. So I watched the separate three TED Talks that I watched were one was on psychedelic science, the second one was on bow making, the third it was actually called Who Am I? So it was pretty broad in that. So psychedelic science. What I really noticed about this speech was that they used a lot of visuals, as in he had experiments. At one point, he even set fire to something, so that tends to grab the audience's attention. There were other things like he was zooming in on a. It's hard to describe. It was paint that didn't mix, and it looked really crazy. It was psychedelic. So that was the main point. I think that's what really put his speech over the edge. And he also um, he had a Scottish accent which helped a lot. I'm sure that doesn't mean anything, but his Scottish accent helped, and his humor. He had a particular kind of humor that was very. It was a bit crude, but people liked it, and it was evident. The second one I saw was about a young man that lived in Korea, and he said life was very stressful, and he found making bows, to be his passion of sorts, and he would do that to kind of take the stress down. And his speech, it was about making bows, but it was about more. Like, he had a hidden message. He had more of a hidden message, as in his final the what he wanted to project to his audience was that he was like a bow. He was fragile and tender, yet like very strong. And I think he was shooting towards opening the audience's mind. I think he succeeded in that. He succeeded in opening my mind, so he had more of a metaphorical, philosophical type speech to it. He also used anecdotes and emotional stories, and even humor. I've noticed that humor tends to be a pretty safe way to go when you're making a speech. The third one was Who Am I? And this speech was very interesting in that it mainly focused on stereotypes. And the man who making the speech started out with a translator. He was speaking in Mandarin, Chinese, and automatically, someone speaking in Chinese, that's going to grab your attention right away. So I think that really that did it for him. And he was getting up and he was walking around. He connected with the audience. At one point, he was wearing a Hindu get-ups, and he was Indian, so you automatically assumed that he was, a hardcore Hindu, bowing, squatting. But he talked about his love for Spider-Man and how he lived in northern England. So it's a nature versus nurture thing, and he was a cool guy. I mean, the fact that he could project that to me as the audience, that I thought he was a cool guy, I think is awesome. So he got on the audience's level. He didn't pretend to be smarter, or he didn't confuse the audience at all. I mean, Spider-Man was one of the things he referred to. Most everybody knows Spider-Man, so that's I think that's where that speech succeeded. And that one had to be my favorite one, in that it showed that stereotypes really, they don't mean anything. They're just things that we've created. And I think that I got that message means that his speech was very good and did what it was supposed to do. Thanks.